Welcome to a segment of Mind You and Food. This is Suzannetoro, and this segment is brought to you by BeSimply. Let's dive in. Welcome to this segment of Mind You and Food. This is Suzannetoro. This segment's brought to you by BeSimply, and today we're diving into more seasonal summer foods, and these actually cross over to winter too. We're going to be discussing some yummy recipes that involve seafood with vegetarian and vegan alternatives, if that's your jam. In addition, we're going to talk about how food can help treat things like depression, PTSD, even mood imbalances in the body. And I'm super excited to discuss these things and shine a light on different ways to nourish your entire being. And so physical food is one of the aspects that we touch on here in Mind You and Food. And these practices actually end up nourishing not only the physical body, but the mental body, the emotional body, and the spiritual body. So we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that, especially around eating habits. So today I wanted to start by just explaining that, as I try to point out, that everyone has a different system. And depending where you're from, different foods are going to harmonize with your biology different. And so when we go into trend, quote unquote, diets, this becomes problematic. And as I pointed the finger a little bit to pay attention to, when you hear trends, meaning don't eat this, eat that, do this, do that, it's important to investigate. Sometimes there's value, and sometimes it's an opportunity to discover the trick, because typically what's being promoted on a national or global scale is for a reason. And oftentimes it requires the opposite game. In addition, it'll also depend, especially in a food-related environment, based on your own biology. There's your physical biology, there's your mental mindset, there's your emotional mind or heart set, I'll call it, and then there's your spiritual practice. So these components make up how you retain harmony in your everyday life. And so if any of those are out of balance, then it takes some investigation. So with my clients, when I work with them one-on-one, it's an investigation and it's an investment in their time. Through the application of Chinese medicine, natural ways of retaining harmony, and ayurveda, these processes typically require a minimum of a 60-day commitment, more than likely, depending what's out of balance, 120 days, 60 days, it could be even a whole year or longer. And the reason for that, if you consider how long it took you to become out of balance, it can take just as long to bring it into balance. And that's where the westernized approach is problematic, because more than not, the medicines that you might have received from different ecosystems are a band-aid versus actually bringing the system into harmony. And if you just imagine in your mind's eye for a moment taking a bowl, and if I give you some water, and if you're on any kind of supplementation, medicines that are prescribed through Western medicine pharmacology, and you take your daily food intake, maybe that's a bigger bowl. Let's just take the nutrients and supplements first, and any pharmacology. You put them all in the bowl and leave them there for the day. And if you want to and can afford to do this, put them all there in the bowl and see what happens. Then leave them there for several days. See what happens. One, how the water breaks it down. Does it break it down? How long did it take to break it down? And create some notes. Create your own lab experiment. Then, if you were to do that same thing with the food you eat, meaning, let's say you eat a lot of processed food, if you put all that food in a bucket with some water, we'll throw some acid in there, so put some lemon juice in there and just see what happens, how it breaks down, how long does it take to break down, observe it. This is a very important path for a spiritual practice and for a well-being practice. Observe what happens. And that's not even in your system. So there's a lot of things that your body does to break these things down, but just to see what water does. And I do need to do a segment before summer's out on water, but the quality of your water also is very important too. But your body is pretty miraculous as to what it does. So once you have this component, all these things in water, then you have your very unique makeup, meaning what you were brought here with, what your constitution is, and what your soul's journey is. And even if you have a faith that is of one shot, one life, that's fine too. You still have a unique system, a unique biology. And you could look in your family, there's some similarities. You could go to event and you could notice all the different body makeup. So it's easy to say, like if you have a race car versus, let's say, a minivan, those two vehicles are going to perform differently. So to my point is that we're all different and one size will not fit all, from medications, supplements, and food. So it's important to really have some assistance and to really examine what is. And sometimes it will take courage to let go of certain things, to really analyze why you're taking things. And I can just share a personal story. Growing up, we had a lot of allergies in my family. We were given prescription allergy medicine. My brother and I discovered once we stopped taking our allergy medicine, our allergies diminished. And in fact, been able to reduce mine, seasonal ones, pretty much gone. I would say pretty much gone. And my food allergies have reduced immensely. And the same with toxins, chemical allergies have reduced immensely. So, and there's so many things that you can do with food to bring the histamine response into balance. So, that's just an example, and this is a personal experience, and I know many people that have done the same. So today we're in summer season and winter still. We're going to this beautiful gateway of late summer starting next week into fall here in the northern hemisphere. And then the southern hemisphere is going to be having that crescendo out of winter. And we're using these as placeholders because we're spiraling through interstellar space. Our seasons can be longer or shorter. And many people in the northern part of the northern hemisphere have noticed that summer has been late and will be short. We experience this more where I am on the Pacific coast in the state of California, that our summer last year was really short. Growing season was better this year for me personally in spring, yet my fig tree has been blooming for a whole year now. Pretty amazing. So we're going through some changes, some powerful changes and shifts, and it's not Armageddon. So that'll be a talk for another day. So today's recipe that I wanted to share before we get into some of the research behind it is shrimp. Shrimp in Ayurveda and in Chinese medicine is a beautiful food to include in your summer menu. If you're choosing to be vegetarian or vegan, that is what I love to do with this recipe, is use cauliflower. One, because it kind of looks like the shrimp, and it's a really similar in flavor food. Shrimp takes on the flavor of what you put on it. The same with cauliflower. In addition, I'm going to go over a quick salmon recipe, which you could do with tempeh for those that are vegetarian or vegan. And then we're going to talk a little bit about how omegas assist with resolving PTSD or helping assist with PTSD and your brain health, in addition with mood and depression, which can impact on both spectrums. In the winter, for our friends in the southern hemisphere, this is why fish is good also in those winter seasons. And it can be like anchovies, all those good things. So for our recipe today, 2 recipes I'm going to give you just really quick, and they'll be below partial. And then if you want the full recipe, just send me a message and I will DM it to you. In addition, if you look later in the week on my website at suzannetoro.com, the full recipe and all the links to the show will be there. If you're on the YouTube channel, I can get more in on the description there. So grilled shrimp salad, I really recommend grilling on an indoor grill versus outdoor, unless you have the capability of making a wood fire to grill your food versus propane or gas. Indoor, you reduce the amount of charring, which can be give you damage, oxidants to your system that are not helpful. So even though it can taste yummy, I will give you that. So you're going to just take, to start with, a garlic clove or 2, mince it up or crush it into bits, some lime juice, fresh lime juice, some olive oil, cracked pepper, salt, and your shrimp. You're going to mix all that up you can put it in a bowl, let it set for a good 15 minutes before you cook to let it absorb some of the flavor. You can make a little extra to put on top once they're cooked. In addition, you're going to get your jicama, which is in season. It's a super hydrating root vegetable that you can slice up. We're going to make this into a salad. So you'll let your shrimp be there. You will place them. You can either saute them or grill if you want those marks, which is fun. You could thread these on a stick, especially if you do want to put them outside on the grill. And you're going to grill them. They'll get pink and they're ready to go. You put them aside and let them rest. Then you're going to chop up your salad. Romaine salad is an amazing gift to your digestive system. Helps stop the sugar cravings. You're going to chop that up. You're going to add a 1/4 cup of fresh Thai or basil, or your local basil that grows typically in the summer. And then you will assemble this, but not quite yet. You're going to make an avocado manchego dressing. You're going to take a 1/4 cup of grated manchego, juice of a lemon, a 1/2 cup of cilantro, and a 1/2 cup of sunflower seeds. You're going to take a 1/4 cup for the dressing. And an avocado. So you're going to put that all in a blender or one of those bullets that you will blend up. And then from there, you will use this as your dressing. You're going to take the remainder of your sunflower seeds, your dressing, your jicama, your romaine. You're going to toss those together really beautifully. Add fresh mint on top. In addition, you will add your shrimp on top. And you can get store-bought crostinis. They're just little, you take a baguette, you toast them up with olive oil. Those make a beautiful side on your salad, like croutons, a little bit bigger than croutons, or a lot of stores offer these. So this is a great salad for you to eat in the summertime. If you are inspired, you can do the same thing as mentioned with cauliflower. You can cut it up, marinate it, and grill it. So from there, the next recipes, since people tend to travel in the summer, the salmon, and this is also a good winter food for our friends in the southern hemisphere. I like to do a pesto in the winter, but we'll get to that when we get to winter where I am. But you guys in the southern hemisphere can put your creative juices together. So you're going to take 2 salmon fillets. You're going to take kosher salt, fresh cracked pepper. You're going to take some flour for dredging, and sunflower oil or olive oil, and unsalted butter, and sake. And from there, you're going to make a seasoning, which is sake marin. It could be sake. You can add a little bit more sake and sugar and soy sauce. So what you'll be doing is you're going to combine your seasoning, sake, soy sauce, and sugar. We'll keep it simple for this radio show. You're going to put that together and let it rest. Then you're going to take your flour. You're going to dredge your salmon that's cut. And then on that, you will take your salmon seasoned with salt and pepper. You are going to dredge your salmon, and then you're going to put it in the pan with heated oil. And from there, then you're going to add your seasoning that will come up in the salmon. You'll cook it on both sides, and then you can serve this up on rice or a fresh bed of seasonal greens. Are super yummy, healthy, and again, this gets those omegas in there. And so the reason I point out seafood in the summer is one, we are working on heart health, and also we'll be going into gut health. And your gut, your heart, and your brain get nourished in similar ways. In addition, when we have balance between our omegas, this helps with your mood, your brain health, and your digestion health, and your heart health. So by eating a little seafood in your weekly regime, this can help you tremendously, especially if you're suffering from trauma, if you're suffering from depression, if you have a mental health imbalance. There's nothing wrong with mental health diagnosis or pathologies. The blessing of those is that you can bring those into balance, and that can be through food and nutrition and some good spiritual psychotherapy or other therapies that can create an integrative approach. Mind You and Food is about all mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical health. That's how we retain well-being. We were designed to move. We were designed to pray. We were designed to graze and live in harmony from the inside out. So, you will notice below a couple medical clinical trials, journals, and so on and so forth that you can read up on. I encourage you to do your own research. To be noted for those that are aware of, a lot of times medical trials can be skewed for the benefit of the outcome they want. However, I've tested this personally with family and clients, and there is a benefit to feeding and nourishing the brain. So it's not just skewed science, and science can change so we can get new bodies of information. So the best way is for you to, if you want some help for analysis and solutions around what's good for you, I offer gift consults for 21 minutes. We can sit, kind of talk, and see where I can point you in the right direction. And the reason for the research is that starts to connect the dots. And the other example is, like I've been saying, I'm not going to give up on sunflower seed oil because it is actually super helpful in balancing your system and balancing your omega-6s and your omega-3s. Now, if you have a diet that's rich in processed food, fast food, then there's a different approach. And that's, again, why one size doesn't fit all. So from there, and what I've also found, I want to speak to, like, for me personally, vegetarian diet works really well. I do like some fish in my diet, and occasionally I'll get some meat or poultry. What I've found and observed in my one-on-one practice is that those with imbalance in their brain, mental imbalance, meaning that they have been diagnosed with a mental health pathology, or they're suffering from mood dysregulation, they have depression, anxiety, that there's a benefit to introducing some of these products, where in a vegetarian or a vegan diet, it's difficult to substitute, but it's not impossible. There are ways. I can point you in the right direction. So In addition, what's happening right now with the awareness on how we can be better humans on planet Earth, meaning that we're not responsible for climate change. However, we can pollute less, therefore cleaning up our oceans. By reducing the amount of plastics that we use, this helps our fish ecosystem in the ocean, in the rivers, and in the lakes. In addition, for all those that suffer from hormone imbalances, reducing plastics in your life, consuming from plastics is very important. Or if you eat a lot of soy in your daily life, this can be a hormone imbalancer. It dysregulates your hormones. So again, super important to stay informed. So on the fish market, there's a lot of companies out there that have best practices. I'm listing a couple below that I've discovered just preparing for this segment, and then that I know personally. So we have Organic Ocean. They have a great range of ocean or fish products available that can ship to you. And you can see their story. It's beautiful. And this is a great way to be able to get a product that you trust that maybe you can't get from your local grocer or market, fish market, depending where you live. In addition, there's a company called Greensbury. They have a collection of seafood. In addition, they also have grass-fed, sustainable, humane, and beef and other products if you consume animal products for your nutrition. And then another company I found, they appear to just be a wholesaler. So for my restaurateurs out there, look them up. Clean Fish. You can still even look them up if you're not, just to see what best business practice is in the fish market. And then finally, Santa Monica Seafood Direct. They're here locally. They actually distribute to a local market we have called Mother's Market. Their seafood is amazing. Even buying it just at 1 degree removed at the Mother's Market, fresh. So I highly recommend you purchasing it there, or you can go online and get a pack sent to you. So if inspired, take some time to discover maybe where you could shore up in your diet. And if you are vegetarian and vegan and want some additional suggestions, feel free to email me or contact me to keep that in balance. Because there are things like seaweed, different algae that can help keep those in balance for you. And I can give you some recipes. But the recipes that I gave you today, I would recommend if you don't want salmon, tempeh. If you don't want shrimp, do a grilled cauliflower salad. It'll look like a seafood shrimp salad and taste just as yummy. And finally, a foot soak. We're going to ease out there. So rashes, I mentioned earlier, reactivity, people that have food allergies or are having rashes right now spontaneously. A cool foot soak, an Ayurvedic practice, even in many of the island nations. You're going to take a 1/4 cup dried roses, or you can do fresh roses, depending if you know the grower or they come in your garden and they don't have any pesticides, all organic, especially when you're doing skin treatments. You do not want any chemicals on the skin that'll just compound it. 2 tablespoons baking soda, organic, no aluminum, 1/4 cup fresh peppermint from the garden or your local grower, and then a tablespoon of Himalayan sea salt and a tablespoon of rose hips if you have some. You're going to blend this up all in a bowl. You're going to pour it into a foot basin, add room temperature or lukewarm water, and soak your feet for 10 to 20 minutes. And if you want, do this in the evening, and then after you'll apply organic coconut oil or sunflower oil on the feet. Then leave it in the morning, add some ice, because all that goodness will be seeping out. Or you can put fresh ingredients and do this too, because your feet will detoxify in this. I'm going to rescind that. Do this in the morning also. The same ingredients, add ice, soak your feet, your entire electrical panel for your entire organ system and body is on your feet. So if you soak them in cold water, especially in the summer months, this will wake you up and nourish you really well. In the evening, if your feet are tired, I would do room temperature, lukewarm, soak them, lather up your feet, give yourself a good foot rub, even the lower parts or your full legs, and go off into Wonderland. So until next time, I appreciate you being here. I thank you for listening in. I want to give special thanks to Kadri Scott and Dante Marino. We're going to exit out with 2 of their tracks, Shine and Alive. May you continue to feed your heart, mind, body, and soul. Stay in harmony with your inner and outer being. Once again, I want to thank you for tuning in to Mind You and Food. This segment was brought to you by BeSimply, and this is Suzanne Toro. I want to welcome you to stay a little bit longer and connect with the rhythms and the music provided by Kadri Scott and Dante Marino. Until next time, this is Suzanne signing out with a full heart, a bright smile, a deep bow, and a namaste. Be Simply.